There's a third group, which is just as terrifying, and maybe the most popular group. And it's a group not with a hard heart, not with a shallow heart, but with a strangled heart. As for what was sown among thorns, this is the one, right? We're not talking about me. Again, we're talking about you. This is the one who hears the word. But, now listen to this. Underline this. The cares of the world. How haunting is that? The cares of the world and the deceitfulness of riches, underline that, choke the word and it proves unfruitful. This might be the most popular group in this room and in our culture, where you like the concept of Jesus, you like the concept of the church, you like the concept of faith, you like the concept of God, but to be honest with you, you make a really dumb trade, which is that you trade out intimacy with Jesus Christ for the things of the world, like fleeting, shallow things like money. Money. Do you know how weak that is? The deceitfulness of riches. Let that just wash over you for a second. He just talked about your money. This is what's fascinating. Can I tell you as a pastor, one of the ways I've probably failed you as a church is I don't talk about your money enough. Do you know that Jesus says that your money is part of your discipleship? It's part of your spiritual life. In fact, he says, where your treasure is, there your heart is also. I, as your pastor, probably have not done a good enough job looking out at you and saying, I want to shepherd your money, which is something I'm probably going to change, by the way. You're like, okay, he's making a few changes today. We're all standing. He's talking about him. Because here's what, Jesus just keeps coming back and go, hey, I want to talk about your money because your money is an indicator of where your heart is. And let me tell you something. I think that our church is not in a good place spiritually in regard to their money. My fear, and I don't tell you this because we need your money, because we don't. We're well ahead of budget. We don't need your money. I'm talking about your money because I care about your spiritual life. I think a lot of your money is in a very bad place and it's not going toward the local church. I know that. Do you know, let me give you a stat on our money situation as a church. 6% of our church gives 50% of the money. 6% of our church gives 50% of the money, and actually less than 20% of our church gives 75% of the budget. You know what that means? It means almost 80% of you are doing little to nothing. Nothing! Why? The deceitfulness of riches. You're greedy. And you don't trust God, even though it's the one thing God says, test me on this. Hey, you want to test me on something? Test me on money. Be generous, more generous than you could ever think or imagine, and I will bless you for it. Sometimes financially, yep. Sometimes materially, yep. Sometimes spiritually, emotionally, psychologically. I'm going to bless you for it because the best antidote to greed, which none of us think we're greedy, by the way. We all can recognize sexual sin. We're like, oh, there's sexual, sorry, not you, but there's sexual sin. It's like, what? There's sexual sin right there. I can see it. It's very clear. There's an act being had and he's involved in it. That's really clear. Problem is, none of us wake up and go, I think I'm greedy. According to the money, a lot of you are. And I'm actually fearful for you. Because the deceitfulness of riches is choking your faith. Come before the Lord and figure it out. I'm not going to walk you through every piece of this. Some of you are cheap and greedy, and you're not giving generously to the local church or to missionaries. You're not looking at your budget and laying it out and going, this is actually part of my discipleship. Where my treasure is, there my heart is also. That Jesus is saying, here's what I'd like to evaluate in your life. Not the spiritual songs you sing. Give me your credit card report, and I'll tell you where your heart is. That's what he just said. And he said, you know what the thing is going to happen to you? You're going to want money, and you're going to want more and more and more, and it's never going to be enough because it's a trust issue. It's a faith issue. And you're going to wake up one day, and it's going to have Now, here's the crazy thing about the image of choking. Choking's not like a bullet to the head instant. That's the scary thing about it. You don't wake up and go, greedy, need to give it to the Lord. That's not it. It's a choking. You ever been choked? It's slow. You're just like, it just takes time. It's slow. And you lack air a little bit. And all of a sudden, 2 years down the road, you realize you haven't picked up your Bible in 2 years. All you've been doing is hoarding money. You don't do devos, you don't pray, you don't care about people, you don't love the poor, you're not on mission. All of a sudden, 2, 3, 5 years down the road, you wake up, you're choked to death. And Jesus goes, those people, they're not producing fruit. That's between you and God. I'm challenging you because I don't want money to choke you. Give it away, man. Give it away. Work out your budget. Paul talks about giving to local church, give to missionaries. You got to figure that out in your life. It's actually part of your spiritual life. It's not something other. And then he ends like this, just in case you're not encouraged yet. Verse 23.